Well, thank you, Matt, for joining me. You have a presentation coming up for Expression Engine Conference, so I wanted to sit down with you and kind of talk about what that's going to look like and what you got going on. You are a developer at EE Harbor.
Yeah, so I work for Packet Tide, and we own EE Harbor.
So what do you do do you work on a lot of add-ons, or do you do a lot of more client work? Like, what's your kind of your job there at EE Harbor / Packet Tide?
So, yep, for a long time, when we were doing a lot of the upgrades for the add-ons, that's what I did full time, working on the code, upgrading the add-ons to be compatible with Expression Engine 3 and now through 5. Lately, I've been working on a lot of site upgrades, so that's been my main focus. We get a lot of older sites coming in, a lot of bigger sites.
Sure.
So it's really kind of the whole thing. Some easier ones, some smaller, but really all over the place.
Yeah, so I suppose then you do a lot of Expression Engine 2 to like 4 and then 5, or 3, 4, 5 kind of upgrades?
Yeah, exactly.
So if someone, just out of curiosity, because, I use EE Harbor add-ons, and I think most of us in the Expression Engine community do, if a support request comes in, do you ever handle any of those? Like, are we ever communicating with you?
Occasionally, but that's mostly Jace.
Yeah.
I do if it's something that I know I specifically dealt with before. I specifically handled that code in the first place, and
yeah,
a lot of times I'm not reading them coming in either, so it's usually Jace.
So you've been to a few Expression Engine conferences. In fact, that's where I met you. I can't remember if I think I met you in 2017, didn't I? You were at the 2017 conference, weren't you?
Yep, so I was there both years, 2017 and last year.
So so I got to meet you, and I knew of Tom a little bit before that, who is your boss, but I had never met Jace or you before 2017, so that was a lot of fun. And now this year, you are giving a presentation on security. So what kind of prompted you to do that?
Someone in the community actually mentioned it to me. I'd thought about giving a talk before that, but I wanted it to be something I'm more passionate about. And so when they mentioned that, I thought a lot more about it. I have a background in cybersecurity.
Oh, okay.
So I think that kind of thing is really interesting to me, and it's fun. I think it's also a big need in the community, kind of at whole, not just Expression Engine, obviously, but in college I worked on I did like a focus in cybersecurity. And so we did a lot of competitions and some nationally ranked competitions, and where you were either blue team or red team hacking into a set of servers or defending a set of servers.
So without giving away the farm, because you want to save some for your presentation, how is a lot of that stuff relevant to your average web developer working in Expression Engine? Like, is there stuff that we should be doing or that we're doing that we shouldn't be normally? Like, what kind of stuff are you going to focus on there?
Yeah, I think some of this was prompted from doing upgrades as well. Just seeing there is a need for it. There's a lot of stuff that it may be time to upgrade it and just relook at how things are done. I'm hoping for the talk to talk about a few Expression Engine based things, some stuff that probably most people know already. Passwords, basic things like always use this certain type of setup. It's an easy one-click thing. But then I also want to dive a little bit into some more advanced things that I'm hoping everyone can take something away from the talk.
Are you going to be talking a little about? I know Expression Engine is one like avenue that people can take to hack, but I'm assuming also there's like server related stuff as well that needs to be taken care of and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to be touching on some of that. Hopefully, I'll have a few demos up and running. So some basic no-nos for configurations and things like that. And, this kind of thing does show up in the wild. It's not really rare to find these sorts of configuration errors, but it's just the web's been around a long time, so.
Yeah. Well, and I think especially people don't think about how a hacker think. Like, I don't think how a hacker thinks, and so it's very difficult for me sometimes to put myself in that mindset. So a presentation on this subject actually, I think, is needful for us to keep that in our minds, because most of us, I don't think like hackers. And as experienced as a developer as I am, it's still difficult to put myself in that mindset. And I remember Eric a couple of years ago, it might have been my first Expression Engine conference, but he was actually showing ways in which Expression Engine could be hacked, and SQL injection attacks, like not taking care of your inputs and things like that when somebody submits something. And he actually did a demo of hacking into a database, an Expression Engine database from a form on the front end of Expression Engine. And I think it was just something as simple as the input was being passed raw directly into a database query, and that was the end of that. So,
yep, that's definitely something I still see today. Working on upgrades, some of the older sites, they just were built in a way that you could inject SQL, but also the inputs aren't sanitized correctly or something like that. So that's something I do plan on touching on, maybe getting a couple demos up and running as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a lot of fun. So you're more of because there's a couple of different presentation styles. Mine tends to be more, here's my slides, here's some code samples, but I'm probably not going to do anything live because that makes me super nervous. But it sounds like you more are the let's do it live kind of presenter.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some virtual machine snapshots where I know that it will work and we're not going to be wasting time. If it doesn't work, then I'm probably just going to scrap it. But
so your presentation may not be pillared on the live demos, but you're hoping to have something for us. Yeah, very nice, very nice. What other questions should I be asking about your presentation that I'm not asking? What do you want to tell us about your presentation? Why should we attend Matt Johnson's presentation?
I think there's some takeaway for everyone. I think that there's a need in the general web development area for security. It's definitely something that comes up all the time. You're usually hearing about bigger sites getting hacked, but I bet you half the developers in the room are going to have to, at some point, they have dealt with a site being hacked. So it may be smaller or bigger, but you always want to be on your toes, and it's going to be a refresher for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Just a few, some things everyone's probably doing already or knows they should be at least, and a couple other things just to keep in mind. So.
Yeah, well, so I started a new job recently, actually, and one of the things that we had to do, it's actually the largest company I've ever worked for, and we're not a huge company, but it's definitely a different mindset, I think, and one of the things I was required to do was security training, and even though, I think to myself, oh, here I am, I've been in the industry for years, I know what I'm doing, and like, oh, no, I didn't think of that. That's an avenue that somebody could take, simple things like, when you're snapping a photo or a selfie or whatever, and you've got a screen on in the background, you might be leaking information out to somebody, and then suddenly somebody gets into your client sites, and not that I may not have thought of that, but I might not have, like maybe I'd take a screen, a quick snap of my setup and send it to my friend because like, oh, look at this cool thing I did with my screens or whatever, and that maybe you think about not having anything on your screen when you do that, and there's just so many ways that hackers can get in now. So this is, I think, a really timely talk, especially as we, the world is more and more built on the internet, and we are, all of us at Expression Engine Conference are in some way builders of the internet. So this is super important.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be, one thing I talk about a little bit is sometimes you might not know how hackers would use certain information.
Right.
And so you think, well, I don't see how this could be exploited, so it's safe. But that's not always the case. There are best practices, and you should follow them, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, it's just you got to try to put yourself in that mindset, and it's really difficult. So, just think of ways that if you hack something together and you're like, that'll be fine, and it's not fine.
Yep.
So. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, Matt. I hope this gets people excited to kind of come to your presentation and learn what we're doing right or wrong that we need to be doing, to secure our sites and really to be good stewards for our clients and or if you're making add-ons of your buyers of your add-ons and that sort of thing. One question I do have to ask you: who's the better developer, Matt Johnson or Jace Richardson?
Oh, definitely
the
no
EE Harbor,
comment.
the blowout.
We've got a lot of strengths, both of us. So
Okay. I put you in a tough spot there. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you again at Expression Engine Conference. And I hope all of you who are watching this, I hope you can join us at Expression Engine Conference and catch up and have some beers with us and learn about security.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care.